Hey guys, I'm going to give you a real quick, hopefully, tutorial on how to use KDENLIVE, the basics. Now obviously I am not a videographer or anything like that. I'm cheap, so I like these free programs like KDENLIVE is free. Thank God. I don't know how they make their money, but they do. Create a really good project. So if you don't have KDENLIVE, if you go to kdenlive.org, KDENLIVE.org, and then when you're there, you click the download button here. You get the download menu. You can see you got four options. These two are for Linux users, and these two are for Windows users. If you select the standalone version is going to download a zip file that you double click. It's going to extract it all into one folder, and then you go into that folder and you look for the kdenlive.exe file, and that's usually in the bin folder or binary folder, bin. And when you double click on that, it opens the program and you start using it all within that folder. Most people are used to the Windows install, so they click this, it downloads an executable file, and when you open it, it installs KDENLIVE on your machine just like any old other software would. So this is probably the most common way to do it. It works fine, and that's what I did on this computer. So when you go to open it up, you're going to see something that looks like this. Over here is a big thing. It's called the project bin. So all your audio files and video files that you've created, you're going to dump into here. And I do recommend you get a little naming structure for your files. I didn't do that here. Probably should. This is just the raw names, but a lot of videos I'll not only name them, but I'll number them in the order that I will expect them to be in the video, and that kind of makes it a little bit easier. So I went ahead and dragged everything in the project bin, even got a couple audio files. Now this says switch clip to profile 4K ultra high def because I used the 4K camera. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to record it and make this in 4K. So it's now up here, you can see it's got these jobs, and after I drag those files in there, it's got a list of jobs it's doing. And what it's doing is going through and rendering all these little videos and making thumbnail clips and transferring the audio and making audio clips. So don't do anything until all these jobs are done. I found that things don't work, like it doesn't like to do that and doesn't like to work out very well. You can put pictures in there. Now I do recommend, don't just recommend, you need to make sure the pictures are saved in a PNG format. Portable networks graphics, something like that. And you could do that with something as simple as Paint. If you opened up Microsoft Paint, and if your file is a JPEG, which is probably the most common file, and the reason why you can't use a JPEG is because what will end up happening is you're going to get these, it's going to look fine when you're messing around with KDENLIVE, but when you render it and create the actual video, when you're done, it'll show up as white boxes. So if you've got an image, like I'm just got this as an enormous image right here. This is a bad example, but go through and file, save as, and pick PNG and put it wherever you want. And then it's going to save it as a PNG, which for some reason works and JPEGs don't. And then you just drag and drop that in there. You could create folders, by the way. You can create a folder for music, folder for images, folder for videos. So that way you can maybe not have as many things sitting in this project bin. But it's probably not going to be a big deal. Okay, so we're going to go through. I'm going to put a video or two in there. So I'm going to start like with this one right here. I'm going to drag this in. This is a video of the ski trip that I did with my kids over Christmas break. And I've obviously got, I don't know, 26 videos, and I don't want all of it in there. I just want, a minute or two of video, and I don't think I want all of it in there. So you're going to do a lot of trimming and cutting. And like, let's say for example, right here in this part of the video, I just dragged it down. I don't want the very beginning part. I can click the very beginning and drag it to that masthead. And I guess I should explain what that is first. This piece right here, this masthead, that's what I call it. I don't remember if that's what it's called or not. As I drag it, it's showing me the part of my video that I'm creating. And I can go back and forth with it, and I can kind of get to a part where I like let's say right about there, and I can cut it, and now this video is a little standalone clip out of that larger clip that I put in there. So this little clip, this little guy right there I just created is just this part right here. Okay, I'm going to erase some of the beginning. Like right there is probably where I really want it. So I can fine tune a lot of that stuff too, can't I? I can either do one of two things. I can drag it to the masthead, or I can right click, select cut clip, and then pick the part that I don't want and delete it. So now there's my little clip. There's my daughter and my son skiing on the catwalk. So if that was my first clip, I've just created it out of this video that was in the project bin. And you know, I'm still watching some more. Let's say if I get to a part that I liked, like where I was skiing, and here she is about ready to go through that little tunnel. This is at Winter Park, Colorado. Great place, by the way, if you've ever been there. A lot of fun if you ski. So I can right click and cut the clip, or I could have dragged it over. And the terrain park goes right over the top of that. All right, so I can right click and cut it there, or I can drag it over. Pretty easy. So I've got this clip, I just cut it into two smaller pieces, kept the parts that I wanted. I could butt the two together like this, and when it plays, it'll just be like, it'll just switch like that. There's nothing wrong with that. Or what I could do is raise it up. See, I've got, these are all separate video tracks. They all stack on top of each other. And then there's audio tracks underneath it. It usually, when you open this up, it has two video and two audio tracks. If you want more, you right click on it, insert track, and that's going to insert another one. I don't need that many more. So, but here, if I want to, I can go ahead and make this transition. If I'll zoom in on this so we can see what we're doing here a little bit better. The zoom, you can see, is down here in the lower corner. Kind of, well, actually, you probably can't see. It's behind my back. But here, I'll duck. See that? That's zooming in on this. And when I zoom in on it, I can just get to kind of see a little bit, like when I play it, you can see the masthead will move quicker. So if I wanted more of a transition where it's not going to just cut from one scene to the next, I could drag it and overlap it a little bit like that. But let's say if I did that, I'm like, oh, but it's going to turn this other scene off too quick. Since I knew I cut some of that other scene, I can drag some of that other scene over. It's still there. Check it out. Whoop. All that stuff that I cut and deleted, it's still there. I just am basically telling KDENLIVE to ignore or just to memorize the timestamps and then get rid of what I don't think I want, but it's still there. When I do cutting and clipping and all that, it doesn't affect any of these videos in the project bin up here. What it does is it basically just adjusts what parts of the video are shown on the timeline. So anyway, to go back to the transition, I've selected this, I've overlapped these two a little bit, and in the little in the corner here I can see this little, you might not be able to see it on the video, but it turns kind of a, it's like purple right there. If I click on it, you can see it created a transition. It says wipe. So now when I play this, it's gonna do a nice smooth transition. How about that? If I wanted it longer, I could create a larger overlap and drag that wipe a little longer. That was kind of neat. So yeah, so that's the reason why it's this. KDENLIVE is this a non-linear editing program, and that means you don't have to do everything in a line. You could stack these things on top of each other. Like if I have multiple camera angles of the same footage, I could put camera 1 here, 2, 3, 4, and I could just jump back and forth between the camera views that I want. I do that with my transmission videos a lot. So okay, I just did that. Let's say I want to bring in another video, and we'll do C13. This is a 10-minute long video, so it's really long. And there might not be that many things in this 10-minute video that I actually want to keep in the actual finished video. So if I go over to my clip monitor and I got the 13 highlighted there, you can see when I play it, my masthead's not moving because I'm just looking at the clip. And if I wrote down ahead of time like I did, on C13, there's a spot about 1 minute 6 seconds in. I don't know, remember what he did there. Skiing in the trees or something, so I can... So he kind of turns off into the trees right here. So if like, okay, I want to keep that, I can right click on this, go to markers, and so that video clip is in there. And if I zoom out, you can see the markers that I created. They're right here on that timeline. So, and they stay with that. The markers stay with the clip. So I always know if I went ahead and watched every one of these little videos and just put little markers on the parts I wanted to keep, then when I drop these things in the video, I wouldn't have to sit there and watch the whole thing and stare at it. I know that I could be like, okay, I know I'm going to go up to that point, and then watch that at the point where I don't really care for it anymore, or I'm done with it, right when he probably pops out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of times you're just trying to roughly get the footage where you think you want it, and then you can kind of drag and do some fine-tuning afterward. Click clip, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this clip here, delete everything in between it. If I right click on this area, I can remove space in all tracks. At least get on the right track. And it just kind of got rid of all that blank space. So same thing here. I want to figure out that was the marker that I created. Maybe it's not in the exact spot I wanted it, but it's pretty close. And it was a jump he was doing there, catching some mega air. So let's say this is all I wanted. This is my whole video. I can do my zoom in here a little bit. By the way, right down here where this thin line is, you might not be able to see it. If you click on it and drag, there's a scroll bar there. It's just like almost impossible to see. I wish they made that a little bit, a little different color. So I'm just doing a little bit of transition work there. And now, like let's say this last video of just him cruising is a little too slow to watch. I can click on it. I hit the control button, should say. Hit the control button, click on the end, and you can adjust the speed. So I just raised the speed, kind of made that little clip a little quicker. You might be able to hear a lot of noise. There's a couple ways you can deal with the noise. If you right click on it, you can adjust the volume up and down. So that might be something worthwhile in the video. If you're recording things in different spots and your video is loud in some clips and quiet in the others, you might have to adjust the clips up and down. There is an audio mixer here. If you click audio, you'll actually get the audio kind of signatures there for your different, all the different channels that you've got. So you can kind of see if they're all peaking at the same amount. I usually don't click this because they screw me up every time I go back. Now let's say another little piece of trickery that we can do here. Let's say just before he did the little jump, I wanted to zoom in and go slow motion. I can cut it here. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag all this stuff that's back here further away because I'm not going to be able to really go slow motion because the stuff is already here. So to give me a little space, I'm going to click this button here. This allows me to move multiple things at once. It's a multi-select tool. You can kind of see there that I just dragged that far away. Now I'm going to go back to the single select tool, control. I'm going to drag this out, make it go in slow motion. We'll go 40%. And and then I'll bring it back, use the multi-select tool, bring it back, and then go single select tool so I can drag this to where I want it to end. Right there. Cut it. So cut the clip, and then now I'm going to go ahead and bring this clip, the rest of it, back to 100%. Or so, and 99%, close enough. Now I go back to multi-select so I can bring those two back together. So this slowed down or created the slow motion on that jump. And now if I wanted to zoom in on that, I selected this. And by the way, this would be a good time to start saving things, because this is saved right now. It's not even saved at all. It's just called untitled. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'll call it ski trip demo. Ski trip demo. And I recommend about every 20-30 minutes saving it, but then also saving it with a little different file name, like say ski trip demo 1, ski trip demo 2, ski trip demo 3. The reason why is because sometimes KDENLIVE crashes, and when it crashes, it won't let you open the file that you just saved back up. And instead of saving it the same file name, then it crashes, and then it basically corrupts that file and makes it useless. You're better off saving it 5 times, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you lost number 5, well, you got number 4. So it's not going to be, all won't be lost. But like right here, that slowed down section, I could say I want to zoom in by the time he's there. I can create an effect on this. So I go to my effects. So I'm going to go to this effects. It was located down here. Like I said, when I click this thing up there, it jumbled everything around. That has a tendency of doing that. I click on this little picture of a video film strip, and these are all the video effects I've got. This is all the audio effects. If I create a favorite, the favorites would go into this section here, or it'd be up here where I can select favorites. That's kind of nice if you find yourself doing a lot of the same effects over and over. But basically, I'm in the video effects, and I'm going to go to transform, distort, and perspective. I've got my clip selected down there. I'm going to pick position and zoom. And right about there, I'm going to want that to be zoomed in. So I'm going to select this little plus button. You see it created this diamond here. That's called a keyframe. So at this point, if I zoom in to, I'm going to say 300%, there it is, zoomed in at 300%. Now it's going to move from 100% to 300% from this diamond to that diamond. So like here, if I wanted to play this, it might be a little choppy in the preview. You can see it zoomed in from 100% to 300%, and then it faded back to the 100%. If I wanted to hold that 300%, I could have added another keyframe and say, okay, I'm going to keep it at that 300%. Got to highlight it. Right there, it's going to keep it at 300%. And then at the end, I'm going to make it go back to 100%. So my clip would look like, somebody needs an exhaust on their car, just drove by. Little effect there, little fun stuff. So that is the idea of these special effects that you can do, and there's a bunch of them. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And then when you're done, you can watch this in the preview window, and if everything looks good and you like the way it is. Well, one thing I didn't show you is you can go through and put other things in here. I think I mentioned that as long as you can put a picture in there, as long as it's a PNG and it's not a JPEG. And if you got music that you've created, you can put that in, drag that down into an audio track. You can mute the audio on the other track. So if you don't want audio for the background noise, maybe there's a lot of wind noise or something, you can just make it use whatever audio that you put in there. And this could be audio that you created also, like if you did a voiceover. Let's say I got multiple songs that I don't know which one I want to use. I could put them in there and just mute them and replay it and see if there's one I like better than the other. This one might apply better to the ski video. And that also is kind of neat. It creates this little audio pattern, so if there's some action going on that you want to happen at a specific point, you can match the peaks up there. Alright, so this thing was only not even a minute long, and if I wanted to clip the audio there, and then I can fade it out. If I click in this upper corner, I can have a fade out on the music. So, and get rid of the rest of the music that I don't want. And then once it gets to that fade point, it'll just slowly fade away. There it is. Now if you wanted to put text on anything, you can go to this project up in the corner, add title clip, click in the middle there, and say, thanks for watching. Or you can put, Winter Park, Colorado, or winter, January 2021. Make it centered. So this is just the text. You can adjust your sizes and the colors and all that stuff. Positioning of it, however you want to do it. If you want to do credits or anything like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to see it puts that into the project bin. So then you could just drag that into your video wherever you want it. You can even have it on the video, because it'll be transparent background, so it'll just show up there. You can even do a transition, do a wipe, so it kind of blends in and blends out. Pretty easy. A lot of neat stuff. So that is the basics of KDENLIVE and a few things that you can do with it, some transitions, some zooming, inserting the videos, trimming them down, putting markers in them if you've got long videos with just a few things that you want to save. You're not going to save the whole thing. Inserting audio. I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse to scroll this back and forth, and if I go over the video, it'll scroll it up and down. If I go over my zoom, it'll scroll the zoom. So depending on where my mouse pointer is at, my scroll on my mouse will do different things. Now when I'm all done and I'm ready to render this video, you're going to go up to Project, Render, and you're going to see it brings up this dialog box here. And the MP4 is probably the one you're going to want to save it as. Put it in whatever folder that you want. And then this is a quality little thing, so if you want, I've usually put the highest quality. And then you click Render to File, and whatever you named it as up here, like this says Ski Trip Demo MP4, it's the same file name as the KDENLIVE file, it just put an MP4 at the end of it. When I render it to file, it's going to go through and make the video. When it's done, you can go open it up and make sure it plays. I do recommend, if you use still pictures, that you definitely go in and watch the video after you render it. Don't assume because it played in the preview window that the video is going to be perfectly fine. I've seen a lot of people have submitted videos to me and boom, a white screen pops up because it's where they had a picture and it was saved. Sometimes even saving as a PNG causes it to fail. And the reason why is because if the video or the image compression is high, KDENLIVE doesn't like that. You're almost better off not having a lot of compression on your images. So hopefully this kind of gave you a quick, or not so quick, sorry about that, introduction to the KDENLIVE. And if you have any questions, let me know and I will try to help you out.